The former President Donald Trump back inside that courtroom today. This is day 3 of his hush money trial. Already there are issues regarding the protection of potential jurors, one of them now asking to be released. That request was granted, but it is the reason why that is the issue. It seems the juror believed too much information had been released, and that prompted the judge to order journalists not to report on prospective jurors' jobs. Ron Chapman knows the drill all too well as a trial attorney. And Ron, this development with this juror saying too much of her personal information was out there, is it normal or is this out of the ordinary?
Oh, this is unsurprising, Del, and we sort of knew this was going to happen as we started to see prospective jurors getting interviewed outside of the courthouse. I think I saw one on a major news network, and we started to see that pundits were publicly talking about the employment status of these jurors. Listen, this is going to be one of the most important and most publicized trials in history. You know, we were both around when the OJ trial was happening. Those jurors were kept secret and sequestered and only sort of made public later on after the case concluded. If I was a juror in this case, I'd be very concerned. And I think that the judge's order is absolutely appropriate in preventing the disclosure of identities and jobs for these jurors.
Ron, you went right to a question I was going to ask you, which is I remember OJ and I remember other high-profile cases in which the jurors were immediately sequestered. Why didn't they come packing their toothpaste and their toothbrushes and be told that you might be away from your family for the next 7 weeks? Why did they not sequester this jury?
You know, and that's really the interesting question. I would have sequestered the jury if I was the judge. I feel like there is potentially way too much pressure. If I was defense counsel or the prosecution, I would want sequestration so that there is nobody claiming interference with this jury panel. Donald Trump's strategy is going to be to hang this jury. You can tell based on jury selection. And the one thing that will hang a jury or cause a mistrial, which is the same result, is going to be some issue in contact with the jury or lack of sequestration. Very puzzling to me that we wouldn't sequester this jury unless our goal was really just to have the most public trial possible with pressure on these jurors, which is concerning to me.
Ron, the former president tweeting that Democrats are trying to pack the jury with plants. He was retweeting a quote from a Fox News host. Did he violate the judge's gag order not to tweet or say anything about the members of the jury?
I think that could arguably be considered a violation of the gag order, but you know, we've seen what Donald Trump has done here. He has walked on the line and occasionally stuck his toe over, but hasn't gone so far that it has been actionable to the judge at this point. And this tweet is a great example. Didn't talk about a juror specifically, talked more about the process and motivations, and so may not have fully crossed that line, or at least crossed that line in the sense that the judge is willing to put him in jail for that sort of violation. Now, that being said, to the credibility of that claim, you know, there are some very interesting facts that have come out with respect to this jury, and some people that have already hidden their true motives in being on the jury. Not that I agree with the Fox News host wholeheartedly with respect to everybody, but there are some concerning answers that we've seen during jury selection already, Del.
Ron, there is a lot of back and forth as to just how far the judge, in this case, Judge Mershon, can go to enforce his gag order. You know the saying, bring your toothbrush. What happens when a judge wants to lock up a former president of the United States for violating his courtroom rules?
Well, that would be an absolutely drastic step. I think first things first, the judge is going to have to explore every alternative means available to give effect to the gag order before putting somebody who's facing a presidential election in jail, because we know what will happen. There will be immediate accusations of election interference, and there will be a lot of pressure on this judge through the appellate process to reverse that decision. To be honest, Del, if I'm looking at this as Donald Trump or the lawyer, I'm thinking that it would take the most severe conduct, an actual prejudicial impact on this case to warrant a sanction like that. I think he's going to have to look at intermediary steps before jail is considered, and I don't know that we'll ever really get to jail for Donald Trump.
Ron Chapman II. Ron, as always, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
You got it. As we go to break, a look at Lower Broadway. That is Nashville, Tennessee. These images coming to you courtesy of